I want to begin by introducing myself and introducing art of storytelling, giving you some backstory to the process you're about to start today. I was a journalist for many years in Tokyo, London, and throughout Asia. And as a journalist, I had a deep passion for people who were the less heard voices in the world, the handicapped, the underprivileged, the undereducated. I had a passion that their voices should be heard and wrote many articles on people like a becak driver in Indonesia, which is basically a motorized rickshaw, and how he lived in his rickshaw and sent his money back to his family in another area of Indonesia. And I was passionate about him getting to talk about his life and tell his story. And so this is the kind of journalism I did for years. In the 1990s, I had a call to give it up. At first, I had no idea it was to give it up to do art, visual art, and be a novelist. At first, it was very confusing. I spent 3 years trying to figure it out in a great deal of despair and confusion. I share that because many people go through these kind of transformations in life. They don't know what's happening, and I want to share that I also went through that, if that helps anybody watching this. So anyway, and then I started to understand that fiction, I was to be writing fiction, exploring my soul through writing. And it was through this exploration process of myself as a writer that I realized I didn't have a voice, that other people around me didn't really have their authentic voice. And by that I don't mean that people aren't loud or saying loudly what they believe. I mean the still small voice, the authentic voice inside that is the creative voice, the soul's expression. And I grew very passionate then about the fact that my call was for voice. First, the call was for helping other people have their voice heard through journalism. Then it became about my own voice. You know, if you want to save the world, start by saving yourself, right? So this is how art of storytelling was born. I took course after course in fiction, nonfiction writing, any kind of creative writing courses I could find, basic fundamental short story writing, novel writing. I took workshops. I went to many writers' conferences. I went to graduate school for a while. I went through a certificate program. And what I got from all of that was that all of the elements I was learning could be distilled into a step-by-step program that included many of them in the writing of one piece. I believe we learn through actually doing the writing. So this course is based on you actually writing, not just me lecturing. Okay, so that was how art of storytelling was born. I went to universities and I asked to teach in their extension programs. I applied and I ended up teaching over 2,000 people the art of storytelling process. So I can tell you from experience, it does work. And I want you to know as you're going through this course that all of the things I'm teaching you have been tested, and through real life experience they've been proven to work. Many of the people in the classes became professional writers, many of them became published, many of them are still in writers groups where they met during the art of storytelling process. Once a week, you'll be getting a video like this, and on the video will be first a general lesson and then an explanation of the assignment. There will also be downloadable documents that will explain in writing what the video explains to you. So I just want to welcome you. I'm so excited you're joining me. This is my life's passion, and this is about you and your voice and your soul expression. The most important thing is the expression of your soul. All of the things I'm teaching you are just tools towards that expression. Don't let the tools take over. Keep with the passion of your voice. Keep exploring your voice. And one of the biggest things I say to people is you're in competition with no one but perhaps yourself, competing with yourself to go deeper and be more authentic in your writing. So anyway, welcome. This is going to be a very exciting process. Don't hesitate to email me if you have questions. Thank you for being here. So we're going to begin with some of the fundamentals of writing. We're going to help set a foundation for not just the next 6 weeks, but for the rest of your writing life. And we're going to talk first about your writing space and the amount of time you spend writing per day and per week. This is all about how much time you allow for your passion. How dare you take up an entire room? How dare you take up 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, 9 hours a day to do something that doesn't make money? How dare you do this for any art form? So what I want to begin doing as we talk about setting up a writing space and a writing time is for you to start looking at any resistance you have to scheduling time for yourself and space for yourself to explore your passions creatively, whether or not it's writing, visual art, music, dance, whatever it is. Really look at any resistance you have to allowing the space and time for it. And I will tell you, in all of my years coaching and teaching, I have never met anyone who doesn't have resistance to it. We aren't taught that is the place to put our time and energy. We're taught again and again that we need to spend our time doing chores and making money and working for money, and this creates deep discontentment. And I believe it has to do a lot with discontentment globally. I believe it has a lot to do with the amount of violence and abuse there is in the world, frankly. I believe that if we go towards what our heart and our soul wants, and we give it time and energy and space, we grow to be so fulfilled and so content we can't imagine wreaking havoc or violence on anyone or anything. Okay, let's begin by talking about your writing space. The highest way to think of this is that you would have a separate room with a separate door with your desk and chair and everything you needed in that room. If that's a possibility, then really go for it. Set an entire room as the space for your writing, not just for the 6 weeks, of course, but for the rest of your writing life. What happens is that the room itself, the desk itself, has a sort of magic to it, a sort of heft and weight to it that adds significance and energy to the writing process. For those of us writing books, we know it can take years, does take years to write a book, and you need some kind of consistency. You need an office to come to that represents the writing, and it provides more energy, more stability for you to be able to finish the book. So what I also have found in coaching lots of people is that many people do not have an extra room. It's just an impossibility. They have children, they have partners, they have other people staying with them, roommates. So what I would like you to start to do is to look at places around where you live that you could set up a corner and put up a screen and block it off and have that as your writing corner. It's not ideal, but if that is what you can do, please start considering that. I have a lot of clients who say, oh no, it's okay. I just grab my laptop and sit on the couch and write. And you know, it's all fine and good until somebody walks in and interrupts you. So I had a client, for example, who wasn't doing much writing, and I asked her, well, what happened this week? And she said the place she usually sits in the separate living room that most of the time the kids don't use. the place she sits on the sofa there to use the laptop, for some reason they had decided to play games. Her kids had decided to play games there all week. Well, of course, right? Mom's doing something interesting, so we need to go into that room. Anyway, so she didn't get as much writing done. So kind of grabbing space willy-nilly, it actually doesn't lead to very much success in the end. It's something that a lot of us do in our 20s. But anyway, I just really recommend setting up some kind of disciplined space. What I have found with all the people I've coached over the years is the people who get finished and get published are the people who have a really good writing space that they hold as sacred for their writing. Now, in that space, what I'm going to ask you to do this week is to fill it up with literary loves. And what I mean by that is your favorite books, have them around you, have things that inspire you on your desk. You could hang up inspirational quotes on a bulletin board, posters of your favorite authors. I had a paperweight. My first novel was called Earth, and I have a paperweight shaped like the earth that I had on my desk for a long time. What baubles or objects that are sacred to you can you put on your desk as well? Perhaps you have a favorite quill pen that somebody gave you to honor your writing. Get a beautiful journal if you don't already have a beautiful journal, and make sure you have that on your desk. So this is basically assignment 1 for this week, is to look at your writing space, to assess it, to see if you can't improve it, and to share all of this on the Facebook forum. What we had over the last few workshops is people took pictures of their space and they pasted it to the forum, and it was really fantastic. It made us all feel Okay, now let's talk about your writing schedule. As it says on the website, the estimated time for this e-course is about 3 hours per week. Most people found it was a little less than that, but what I really want to talk to you about is writing schedule if you want to be a professional writer, and I want to talk to you about my writing schedule and about the writing schedule of some of my clients to give you an idea of what you need to be thinking about. So what I would like you to do is just start to think about what a writing schedule would look like for you. And you can share all of this on Facebook because it will help many people to hear what your thoughts are for yourself on this process. So I have been writing from about 8 a.m. until noon, 5 days a week, for about 18 years. And I've gotten through many short stories, 2 novels, and I'm halfway through my 3rd novel. And I put all of my paying work in the afternoons. As much as is possible, I do that. And I'm telling you this because to be a professional writer, you need a pretty solid writing discipline. I've noticed with the people I've coached that the people with the best writing discipline, the most consistent writing discipline over a span of years, will be the ones who actually get their books finished and get to the place where they could even get a literary agent or get a publisher. So let me talk to you about a client, for example, who has 2 small children and works full-time. She found, she set up a writing space first, and it's a sacred space in her basement for her. She found that she was writing on Sundays, Monday nights, and Tuesday nights. And so she found that she could do about 6 hours a week. People, and she has 2 small children, so people with small children who work full-time, I have found that about 6 hours a week is as much as they can do, and you can absolutely get a novel or memoir finished in that amount of writing time. It's a little bit slower, but nonetheless you can get it finished. So this goes back to how much time do you dare give to your artistic passion, whether it's writing or art or dance or whatever, or music, whatever it is. How much time do you dare give it? Watch for resistances in yourself. Watch for places where you say, oh, I can't possibly give my passion that much time. Basically what you're trying to do is build a momentum with setting a writing schedule so that you can get deeper into the work. And what tends to happen is it's Pavlovian. Every morning at 8 a.m., no matter where I am in the world, I start to get profound intuitions about whatever I'm working on, whichever novel, whichever chapter I'm working on. It's as if the muses are told, oh, now we can turn on our light and hit carry with all we have. So I'm just telling you this, that when you set the writing discipline, it creates a kind of system of creativity that has a snowballing effect to where you get better and better and better at what you do. I will tell you that a lot of women I've worked with, both visual artists and novelists, have what I call the bag lady syndrome, and they have a great terror that if they do commit to their passion, artistic passion, they will end up jobless and penniless and in the gutter. And it is just not true. It's some form of generational old world fear that's been passed down to women. And many of us have had to fight against it. I wrote a blog about it, Bag Lady Syndrome, that went viral. So when I saw that, I realized what an international epic fear it is, not just for you and I, but for women all over the world. So, of course, there's the concept about balance with the writing time. Of course, we have to make money to pay our bills. Of course, we have to spend time with our loved ones. Of course, we have to have a social life. Of course, we have children. So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing scenario. What you're going to do is look at now, for this course especially, look at when you do write. Is it in the mornings? Is it in the evenings? Are you best in the afternoon? Start to look at where your biorhythms lend itself to you doing your writing. Start to look at what days you tend to write. So what we're trying to do is look at our organic way of coming to the page. And we're going to systemize that so that we're aware of it and that we can choose those days to actually do our writing. So I just found that in the morning before noon is my most passionate, most energetic time. So I chose those times to do my writing. And you're going to find your own path. Each path for each person is very different. I could never write at night, and I have several clients who only can write at night. So just keep that in mind as you're writing. One of the downloadable documents with this e-course, with this first lesson, is the writing commitment statement. I highly recommend this to every writer I work with, and you will download it and read it and fill it out. And it basically states, I, Caroline Allen, on this date, the year 2014, do hereby commit to the following. Now, do you want to finish a memoir? Could you see yourself as a novelist? Do you want to finish a TV script, a movie script? Are you just interested in doing this e-course and you want to commit to doing courses so you can see if writing is your passion? That is what the writing commitment statement is for. So you will download that as a part of this week's assignment and fill it out. The concept of filling it out and putting it on paper is to solidify your commitment. The soul feels your commitment and will come to the page with you the more you are committed. So we're just trying to state out loud to the universe, to ourselves, to our gods, to the muses, to whoever you want to state it out loud to, that this is my commitment. And you're going to be specific. You're going to say how many days you're going to write. You're going to say you're going to talk about your writing space. You're going to talk about what your goals are. Could you see yourself as a published novelist on the New York Times bestseller list? Do you just want to write a story as a legacy for your family? Do you want to commit to taking characterization writing courses in your town? We all have our weak points when it comes to writing. Mine was plot, and I studied it for 5 years very passionately, and now I'm actually more consciously aware of plot and how to teach it than most people who are good at plot. So I put that in my commitment statement. I want to become really good at plot, and these are the steps I'll take to get there. So go ahead and download that commitment statement, have a look at it, fill it out, and what I like to tell people is mail it to yourself. I mailed such a commitment statement to myself about 20 years ago now, I guess, and I just found it in my desk drawer, and it's so charming to come across a letter that speaks my commitment to my writing that I sent to myself so many decades ago. So, okay, so that covers your space and your time commitment and your overall commitment. So next we're going to talk about what your writing assignments are for this week.